The final, decisive verdict in what many observers across the country called the trial of the century has completely collapsed. For months, the double murder conviction of Alex Murdaugh felt like a closed book on a sprawling Southern tragedy. The state had their man, and the public had an ending. Then, in a sweeping 5-0 ruling, the South Carolina Supreme Court threw that conviction out the window. How does a guilty verdict, achieved after weeks of exhaustive testimony and intense national scrutiny, disintegrate virtually overnight? The highest court in the state reviewed the conduct of the trial itself and found that the entire process lacked structural integrity. The first major flaw traces directly back to the Colleton County Courthouse. The appellate court zeroed in on the actions of the trial clerk, ruling that their conduct amounted to illegal jury tampering. By law, a jury must make its decision based strictly on the evidence presented in court. They are required to be completely isolated from external opinions, hallway chatter, or subtle pressures from court staff. The legal system enforces a strict zero-tolerance policy against outside influence. If an official breaches that wall of isolation, the state automatically forfeits the validity of the proceedings. Regardless of how compelling the physical evidence might have seemed to the public, once a jury is contaminated, any verdict they return is legally void. The Supreme Court also identified a second fatal procedural error regarding how the prosecution presented its evidence. The prosecution leaned heavily on Murdaugh's financial crimes to portray him as deceptive. The justices ruled this a highly prejudicial mistake. Blending financial fraud distracted the jury from the homicides. A defendant cannot be imprisoned for murder simply because he's a thief. Between the clerk's tampering and the prosecution's poisoned evidence strategy, the appellate judges were left with exactly one legal option: wipe the slate clean. While the murder convictions have been vacated, Alex Murdaugh is not walking free. He was convicted in separate, independent proceedings for those financial frauds, and he is currently serving an active prison sentence. What lies ahead is a massive logistical hurdle for the state. Prosecutors must now rebuild their entire murder case from scratch, and this time they have to attempt to secure a conviction without relying on the character assassination of his financial crimes. Beyond the specifics of the Murdaugh saga, this reversal demonstrates exactly how the American legal system is designed to function under pressure. The highest courts prioritize procedural integrity over securing high-profile wins. The rules of evidence apply to everyone, regardless of the defendant's notoriety. The original trial has been erased. Now, the state has to prove they can secure a